Beat, motherfucker. Trusty Ape. Friday night on April the 12th, 2024. Love that stuff. Alright, so Murphy's Law continues to be in effect. We're going to give this thing a shot. We're running too long, but I do have some laundry to get done here, so while I'm killing time, try to get my problems off my mind, watch some videos. And I got a few that I saved for us here, so we'll just go check that out. This will help keep the connection stable. I won't bother with all that shit. Hope you're having a great evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. It's 10:47 in the PM here. It's live. P-Town's still live, doing a chat and chill stream. Escape with Speakeasy. Verbal combat. Check my volume over here. Ghost Pack's still live. It's been running for a while. I didn't even check to see if the panel was still open. Sorry, my bad. I'm guessing probably done with the video. That's what it looks like. Should have found another one. Dadman Walking, 55. Doing a late night with Dadman and friends. Oh, nice. I like the second, just the thumbnail. I'm sure she says that at some point in the video. I'll bite your dick.
Rank than the angels able to appear in human.
Boop boop. Are we live? Are we loading? What the hell's going on around here?
In animal forms, humans.
So that's exactly what they did.
It's possible.
That's crazy.
Because there was a video of
Still live over here.
Arabic people that were like.
There's no audio. Oh, I
In
muted.
some
That's a me problem.
fucking abandoned place. This dude thought it was like so tough, like he was gonna fight with it or whatever. And dude, that fucking Jin, he called himself like the Jin hunter. So the Jin that he came across like was extremely powerful and not only kept slamming doors, but literally moved like an entire, like, you know those big ass piece of furniture that has like the double doors.
Just so I know the story, so I think that's the context there. Plus buffering. Hopefully these videos won't buffer, but they're saved up already. And... oh no, that's right. So we used to do it the other way, I forget. I'll be here all week, folks. Just gonna knock on wood. Keep our fingers crossed. Tomorrow will be better. Entertain all your superstitions. Let's start off with this nice wholesome video here. Somebody taught an ape how to play Minecraft. Imagine that.
Showing up on the
Not
first
the ads, not again.
Showing up
Oh
on
my
the first page.
goodness. What? This is reactivate? I never had a family plan. What are you talking about? I'm torn because I don't actually have money to pay for this. Do I have to pay for this? I'm just gonna go with no for now, because yeah, and I'm gonna assume there's a paywall here. Make your selection. See, I've already done press the button. Come on now. This thing off my face.
He even knows how to use a touchscreen, meaning I could teach Kanzi to be the first ape to ever play Minecraft.
That's pretty tight. Do that.
What's going on your end?
We are here. We just arrived at the Bonobo Sanctuary. How are you? Good. Hey, awesome. Welcome. After I met Jared, it was time to meet Kanzi for the very first time.
We are ready when you are.
Oops, I was muted. My bad. You didn't hear me arguing with my computer and myself.
And just start playing. You ready, bud? Oh my god, he's already moving towards it.
That was first try. Within seconds, Kanzi knew exactly how to move in Minecraft. And as you can see, every time Kanzi collects a prize, he gets one of his favorite snacks.
Yay! Yay! He just knows! He might be starting to figure it out. Good job!
And every collection Kanzi makes is teaching him the basic controls so that he can eventually play the entirety of Minecraft. already more than I imagined was possible.
Kanzi really is a special individual, and I've known Kanzi for 25 years.
My attempts to. Oh! Get lower. Oh, that can't be good.
And I feel in some ways we kind of grew up together. He, as you guys saw when he's playing Minecraft, like he enjoys it. And I feel in some ways we kind of grew up together. He, as you guys saw when he's playing Minecraft, like he enjoys it. And not only does he enjoy it, but he enjoys watching us enjoy watching him playing Minecraft.
Kanzi's crushing it, Amanda.
I know, we're just watching.
I'm gonna go have a little break, place.
It's time to stop playing Minecraft. He's free to leave. Oh, we're going outside for a second. And yes, he gets peanuts or grapes or apple for participating in this, but he gets all of his calories that he gets. Interesting.
Good job, Kanzi.
And so Kanzi, I think, is particularly special because he loves to engage with humans as well as with craft, and we were getting excited. He was getting excited.
But now it was time for what Jared thought would be Kanzi's hardest trial yet.
If we start getting into break, that'll probably exceed anything he's done on a touchscreen for.
Breaking blocks.
Are you ready, Cons?
Let's see, let's try it.
So now we made these giant blocks everywhere, and instead of Kanzi just collecting his snacks, he now has to use this break button to mine them.
All right, Cons, give it a try.
So this is different. Oh, look at that. He knows there's a pickaxe in there.
Kanzi, hit this. Break.
So what are you talking about? This is gonna be hard.
This might be hard. This is one thing that's never happened for any program he's ever worked on. So I think it's definitely a new concept.
Break.
This is probably like a little bit of
Break.
frustration.
You know, one thing to do also would be to like have someone else do it and let him watch.
He's watching?
Okay.
Break.
Let's plug him back in and give him a chance.
Oh, he's going to the blue.
Okay, let's see.
Another ad.
This game, you're not ready for it.
Why are you showing it to me?
Break. Kanzi, break. Can you hit the brake?
Oh my god, he might do it.
Brake. Kanzi. Good job! Wow! That is awesome! You want to go one more, Kanzi? Brake, Kanzi, brake.
Break.
That's above and beyond. Nothing like this has ever been done. No. All right.
APE Initiative is a research facility where we study the species most closely related to us, and that is bonobos. Along with chimpanzees, they're our closest relative.
Chimps and bonobos, just for reference.
And so what we do here is we really work with researchers all across the world to learn about how bonobos think, how they behave. Ultimately, our goal is to raise awareness about them so that we can preserve and conserve the species in the wild.
Kanzi had just learned two of his most important skills for every. Still have to teach him to master these skills in a completely new environment, and on top of that, trick a player into every biome in Minecraft. First, we needed to make some improvements and actually build everything for Kanzi. Trolls. He was so excited to play Minecraft that he broke the game by his own. Personal game developer. It was time to build what would teach him how to master breaking blocks. The biggest problem we were noticing with Kanzi would just walk away.
Can hopefully that improves things.
So we have to make a bigger target for him so that he can break the block before he moves on. The first thing that comes to mind is caving. So we built a cave with these giant diamond walls. If Kanzi can break through the wall, then he makes it to the next section. And eventually the very end of the cave, proving that he's mastered collecting and breaking.
What's up? Good.
How are you?
Good.
Good to see you. Welcome back. We've got Kanzi where he needs to be. He's really happy. He's actually doing some training now.
All right, Kaylee, we are ready for Kanzi whenever you and Kanzi are ready. What's up, Kanz?
There's just a shit ton of ads in this video. I want to see the part where he plays a human. Against a human, rather.
Play War Thunder now.
Against a human. I actually kind of missed that game. I haven't played War Thunder in a while. Chapters. Oh, is this it? It appears that's all they did as far as, yeah, just did 3 chapters. So let's see if we can find if Kanzi's playing against a human player. Here. Alright.
1 second.
Okay.
Kanzi's like, nah, that guy's stealing my food.
You know,
We'll get
everything's
the
gonna
next
make
thing over
sense,
here.
and you're gonna be so happy. Do you feel any satisfaction as a human playing this?
Just feel fine. Why? You keep asking weird questions, Christopher the Cow. Does the viewer know what's happening right now?
Yeah,
Do they
the
know,
viewer
like,
knows
why?
exactly
okay.
what's happening.
Hi!
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
I think we're gonna be back online, Tommy. I think I just made it.
You're stuck here! Stop! Oh, you built the universe, you built that weird cube thing, and now what's this? Tell me what's going on, and maybe I can help you. Are you like Minecraft, but I'm held hostage?
No.
Have you got like a gun to your head, Chris?
Are we ready, Patrick?
Here we go. Tommy, can
Hey,
you see
Chris.
me?
I can see you, Chris. Okay, that's a maniacal. What is that metal lab you're in?
Well, this is what you've been playing with the entire time.
What? What?
Go, God, break it.
Brink.
Yes! So you are the first person ever to play with an ape in Minecraft.
What the Wait, so if I log into the
See Wild Hearts live. How do you say I'm okay to an answering machine? Yeah, I know that one.
Hey, buddy! Hey, it's me, Tommy, innit? Okay, you know what, Chris? Didn't expect this. What's his name?
Kanzi.
Kanzi!
He is the smartest ape in the world.
He loves me! I love you too, Kanzi! Mwah. Chris.
Oh, that's cute. So yeah, I taught this ape how to play Minecraft. Pretty cool. Alright. On to some more serious content. And I passed it. Where something's alright. Video is missing. Well, it's not in watch later, it's in recently viewed. If you were subscribed to my channel, you'd know that. This one from Planner Walk. I hope this was a pertinent video. Planner Walk always does excellent
There's
work.
nothing more powerful than you. Make In the early 19th century, there was a bit of a problem with medicine. You see, homeopathy was getting quite popular. And the reason for this is because people reported feeling better after taking a homeopathic remedy, and they assumed that that was because of the homeopathic remedy. Of course, there were plenty of critics of homeopathy at the time, but they didn't really have any evidence on their side. The evidence appeared to be on homeopathies. Granted, the evidence was people felt better after taking a homeopathic remedy. We now know that that's not good evidence. Anyway, in 1835, a test was conducted to see whether homeopathic remedies were effective. This test was conducted on a homeopathic remedy which was claimed to have 10-to-1 chances of making the person who took it feel extraordinary sensations. The test involved preparing a batch of homeopathic remedies and a batch of distilled water. Each of the vials were labelled with a random number, and that random number was noted down as to whether it was homeopathic or just distilled water. Then people who didn't know which ones were the homeopathic remedies and which ones were just water started handing them out to people. Then 3 weeks later, they asked each of the people who had received a vial if they had experienced anything unusual. Out of the 50 participants, 8 of them reported back that they did, 5 of which had had the homeopathic remedy, and 3 of which hadn't. From this, the people who conducted the test concluded that because the people who took the homeopathic remedy had had no effect, therefore the claims about homeopathy were wrong. That is the story of how the double-blind randomized control trial was invented, something that is nowadays considered the gold standard in medicine. It's become such a gold standard, in fact, that some people have taken to dismissing any medical studies which don't involve a randomized double-blind trial. This is often brought up when talking about large-scale studies which show that there is no link between vaccines and autism. Sure, the Danish study looked at, what was it, about 500,000 children to find whether there was a link between vaccines and autism and found absolutely none, but that's invalid because it wasn't a randomized double-blind trial. However, the things that I want to talk about today aren't so much about vaccines. It's more about instances in which randomized double-blind trials maybe shouldn't be done. This could be either because doing a double-blind randomized trial is useless, or because doing one would result in negative consequences for the placebo group. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the CAS review. The CAS review claims to be an independent review of gender identity services for children and young people. And right on the first page, we have a kid who has probably had some bad effects due to puberty blockers or hormones. I mean, just look at their fingers. Putting aside the disturbing AI images which are littered throughout the review, one of the things that the review constantly mentions is that there is no good evidence on trans healthcare. When the review started, the evidence base, particularly in relation to the use of puberty blockers and masculinizing, feminizing hormones, had already shown to be weak. There was, and remains, a lot of misinformation easily accessible online, with opposing sides of the debate pointing to research to justify a position regardless of the quality of the studies. Now you might be able to tell where this is going. The report does go on to say there are hardly any randomized controlled trials in children and young people receiving endocrine treatment for gender incongruence or dysphoria. Now there is a problem with those kinds of
Young people, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a vague term, isn't it? It's broad. Could apply to a lot of people. You even say, you know, there are young adults. So the term youth seems to imply children to some people. But that's not, you know, the thing is, and we go through these stages, right, of development. And so there's a reason that, you know, after a certain age, thanks for that, after a certain age, after a certain age, kids become, you know, more mature, you know, we begin to start to hold them accountable for their actions. So if a kid keeps missing school in elementary, say, we hold the parents accountable. But if a kid keeps skipping school, you know, once they get into their middle school, high school years, in their adolescence, right, we begin to hold them accountable for their actions, which means that we actually grant them a certain level of autonomy, right? We acknowledge that they are beginning to mature into young adults. So when talking about young people, it's, you know, try to keep that perspective in mind.
Kinds of trials, one which the review comes very close to acknowledging, but doesn't quite seem to hit the mark. It is not always possible for people to be blind to a treatment. For example, in a treatment of acupuncture versus physiotherapy, patients will know which treatment they are receiving. And this is very important. If a treatment can be easily distinguished from a placebo, then you cannot do a double-blind trial. It is impossible. Now, this is something that should probably be told to the UK's National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, otherwise known as NICE. Now, the most confusing thing about this institute is that it's NICE, not NIHCE, which, where did the H go? I want to know, but that's not the most important thing about this. The most important thing is that to help out the CAS review, NICE published an evidence review into gender-affirming hormones for children and adolescents with gender dysphoria. Now, this evidence review goes over quite a few studies, and one of the things that it keeps pointing out is that a study is low quality due to a lack of blinding and no control group. Now, this is very weird to me. It would make sense if we're talking about something like homeopathy, for example, but if we're talking about HRT, you know if you're on HRT or not. You can't do a double-blind trial of HRT because everybody who gets the placebo in that trial would know that they're getting a placebo. The whole point of HRT is to feminize the body, and we know that it feminizes the body. We're not testing whether it
Well, Nanya, I certainly hope that a 20-year-old can get whatever medication they want without their parents' knowledge. A 20-year-old in the U.S. is in any country is an adult, as far as I'm aware. So, you know, it's interesting because as a young person, you know, I remember being about 15, 16, and I wanted to get a vasectomy, and the doctors would not allow me to do so. I had to wait until I became an adult. Now, by the time I became an adult, I had changed my mind about that, and, you know, decided to procreate. But yeah, I always kind of wonder whether or not they should have let me make that decision. I might have been more lucid at 16 than I was after I got involved in that first sketchy relationship that caused me to have you know, kids, and yeah, it ended up you know, I mean, I don't regret doing it. I love my kids, but at the same time, it did not at all turn out the way that I planned it, right? So I start to question whether my judgment was better at 15 than at 18.
Feminizes the body. We're testing whether the effects of feminization have an impact on people's mental health. As much as double-blind trials are useful, there is a time and place for them. You can't just use them. And this is part of the debate around trans healthcare. Why are there no double-blind trials on HRT for trans people? Until we get one of those, we're not going to treat trans people with HRT because we don't know whether it works. That argument is simply ridiculous. We're not dealing with something where we don't know whether it has an effect, like homeopathy, for example. We're dealing with something where we know that it has an effect, and people can tell whether they get those effects or not. The same kind of thing can be applied to puberty blockers. I'm not going to talk too much about them here because I actually do want to make a separate video on puberty blockers, so subscribe for that, maybe? Anyway, when it comes to puberty blockers, it's not so much about whether they have an effect. It's about, do those effects impact mental health? The whole idea behind puberty blockers is that puberty is a very difficult thing to reverse. For me, I still have a fairly deep voice. If someone is on a placebo instead of puberty blockers, they're eventually going to notice that their puberty is still progressing, and that is going to cause distress. But that also...
And the thing about puberty, it can be affected, development in that can be affected by a number of factors, right? introducing puberty blockers, right, at a certain age is actually like relatively benign, because all people are going to mature in different, right, they're going to mature differently. And the thing is that even something like drinking, smoking, any type of drug use, those can all affect your puberty. I found for myself, like, I'm even now at 35, certain things are kicking in, like as I, the more sober time I get under my belt, for example, certain developments that were obviously delayed for me, right? Like genetically, I should be, following heredity, I should be a much hairier ape man than I am, right? Or should have been by this time. But I think because of my early drug use and drinking, and being on a number of prescription medications from very early childhood into my adolescence, probably affected that. But when I am in a short time being just completely sober off of any type of drugs, prescription or otherwise, all of a sudden body hair is filling in where it never did before, right? So all of those things obviously affected my development in that area, I think. I don't think it's normal for those things to start filling in your 30s, right? That's not a normal development. So in some ways, all these different chemicals introduced into my body still had an effect on those. So that's at least my take on the matter. I don't know, we'd have to do some testing to find out conclusively. Of course, the doctors aren't interested in that. Doctors aren't interested in finding out whether or not they were wrong to do what they did, 20 or 30 years ago, right? They don't want me to actually say, hey, these doctors, they really fucked me up in development, and, somebody needs to take accountability for that. I might even have, grounds for a lawsuit or malpractice suit of some kind,
That also brings up another point. Sure, maybe you can't do double-blind trials, but maybe you could have a control group where you just say, hey, we're just not going to give you HRT or puberty blockers to see how your mental health fares. This brings us to the ethics and problems with denying people healthcare. So when it comes to healthcare that is seen as being effective, there are definitely some ethical concerns that you have to think about if you are going to deny people that healthcare for whatever reason. One of the big concerns might be, is the study that you are doing actually needed? Because if it's not, then you are essentially keeping people from healthcare when you don't need to do that. It might also be worth considering, can you do the study without keeping people from being able to access healthcare? A way that you could do this is by using some kind of other information to determine whether the healthcare being provided is actually helping the person. The way that a lot of new medication is tested today is by not comparing it to a placebo, but to medication that already works, just maybe not as effective.
Well, I'm gonna leave that there, but I'm just gonna say, please watch that in the side chat. Nunya. I mean, I'll tolerate so much, but if you have an argument, present it. If not, I mean, I'm not gonna have you just ad homing people. Especially, I have friends who are trans. That's pretty offensive. So consider walking that one back a bit.
As effective as the medication that you are testing. Or maybe it works better, that's what you're testing for. Obviously that last one can't really be done with HRT because HRT is a bit of an all or nothing deal. I mentioned earlier that you're not testing whether HRT actually does something, you're testing whether the things that it does improve mental health. Now, going back to the second point, can you do the study without restricting people's access to healthcare? HRT, people will say that you can't because they think that you need a control group. But there's a big problem with that. The problem is that you have to let people know that they're going to be a part of a study and what that study is going to involve. And the people who are a part of that study have to agree to be a part of that study, or their parents have to agree for them to be a part of that study. If they say no, then you can't really restrict their healthcare. If they say yes, then there may be a few reasons why they're okay with being a part of that study. One of the reasons might be that they're not as worried about their gender dysphoria as someone who would refuse to participate. I've talked before on this channel about selection bias in studies. That would introduce selection bias. Now, alternatively, you could take the UK's approach, which seems to be a result of the Cass report, saying, well, no one's allowed this healthcare unless they are a part of a study. However,
Now, I think there's a difference between we were talking about here, hormone replacement, hormone blockers, and something like having a gender affirming surgery or something like that. I don't think that again, in the case of my vasectomy, the doctors probably made the right call, right? At the time, they did the best they could with what they had, not allowing me to undergo a surgical procedure, although my procedure would have been much more easily reversible than a gender-affirming surgery. But I do think gender is really just a social construct based upon the idea of sex and sex roles in society. So I would disagree with that, with the statement there are only two genders, but everything is age appropriate. That is true. We should not be allowed to make certain decisions. I'm gonna fucking turn that off. It's fucking going crazy on me. Before a certain point of maturity, we should not be allowed to make those alterations to ourselves, or doctors at least shouldn't be making those decisions with us, right? Because we're just not emotionally mature enough at that point, and yeah, we tend to change our minds a lot in the youth. Simon Hector, good to see you. I'm not opening up the panel tonight. I do look forward to speaking with you again, though, very soon. This is just going to be like a much shorter one. I was just checking out a couple of videos, presenting them.
Actually helps people. You shouldn't give people chemotherapy unless evidence out there that shows that chemotherapy is effective. What do you think the fallout of that is going to be?
You say things have changed. A minor coming into a center saying that they saw a YouTube video could get privately prescribed hormone blockers. And again, I don't know if that's necessarily as bad as people believe that it is, right? I think your hormones can be affected by a number of factors. Delaying this process by choice is maybe something that should be allowed. It gives one actually more time to mature and grow into this decision-making process if they're unsure. The fact that there's more information available, especially to young people who are very, tech savvy, they're online. I mean, you can get good information on YouTube. You can get bad information on YouTube. But that's true anywhere. You can get bad information in school too. So, Simon says machine is load. I'm not sure what is meant by that. Oh, P-Town, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just doing this while I'm doing laundry, so I'm on a limited budget for time tonight. Unfortunately, I do have work in the morning, but I do appreciate it, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Yeah, okay, we'll try to finish this out, and then yeah, go. I think I've got about 20 more minutes before my laundry is ready to switch, so.
The result of that is going to be people dying from not receiving healthcare, or they are going to get it by some other means. And if you find a way to get that healthcare through alternative means, it's not going to be monitored by doctors or nurses, which in turn increases risk for something could always go wrong, and I'd rather have a doctor monitoring the situation. So is there a way in which you can do a study on puberty blockers or HRT without denying people healthcare? As it turns out, yeah, you can. What you can do is you can check to see how many people stop taking HRT or puberty blockers and for what reasons. If most people after, let's say, 10 years are still taking HRT, then it's probably doing something.
Yeah, I'm going to try adjusting this again to see if it helps with the buffering, because the video is loaded. But yeah, apologies about the machine is my, oh, yeah, that apparently just did not listen to what I had to say. That's my heating system where I'm at, because despite working full time and then some, I have a, well, we'll just say I don't have central heating, so. But it's pretty warm in here right now, so I can function without it.
Good for them. It's not a direct comparison of people who are taking HRT and aren't taking HRT, but telling someone that they can't take HRT for 10 years for the sake of a study, that's cruel. Especially considering that some people have worries about starting HRT later in life. We don't just all remain in stasis until we get access to it. No, our bodies get older. Sometimes we have receding hairlines that we have to deal with, and most importantly, I wouldn't want to wait till 30 in order to feel comfortable in my body. Having waited as long as I did, it almost feels like I missed out on a big portion of my life when I shouldn't have. These are all things that you have to consider. This is why you can't just test a medicine that might work against a placebo when there are medications that do work. And that's why you can't just demand that healthcare be restricted, like, let's say, a vaccine.
Yeah, I think that argument is pretty strong as far as if a person in development, say, is not sure about something like, for a female, biological female, developing breast, right? There's no reason that can't be fixed later on in life, right? Plenty of women, biological women, will get breast plastic surgery anyway, right? Because they're not happy with the development of their breasts. That's really a no big deal. But in terms of, I mean, if somebody does end up later in life deciding they're trans, it's going to be, you know, much more difficult of procedure to try and do a double mastectomy, right, rather than just preventing the initial growth of the breast, which is again kind of benign. Like, really, when you think about it, like if you're taking those drugs and then you change your mind, you stop taking those drugs, hormones are just going to kick back in, and then they're going to do their thing, right? Like, so all you're doing is delaying a biological process that will inevitably take place anyway. Like, that's all it means.
Because you think that there might be something wrong with it to account in medicine, and not just medicine but other sciences as well. I'm sure there are some scientists out there that would love to know the impacts of nuking the South Pole. Considerations, I don't think we're going to be doing that. If you take nothing else away from this video, here's the thing that I really want people to remember. Just because something is very useful and has a good reason for being done in a particular way, doesn't mean that it's always useful and should always be done in that way. I had this exact argument against flat earthers 5 years ago, where they didn't understand the scientific method that they were talking about and were claiming that it needed to be done in a particular way when it didn't. They didn't understand any of the reasoning behind the scientific method and used it primarily as a way to dismiss evidence that disagreed with them. People are now doing that, but for trans healthcare. They don't understand why randomized control trials are done in the way that they are, and instead are just using them as a way to dismiss studies that they disagree with.
And I think that is the most important point. We just don't have enough information. And I mean, if people are going to do it anyway, right, they're going to go to other countries or do it on the black market. People will find a means of getting these procedures done, of obtaining these drugs, whether you want them to or not. So why not do it in a way that is transparent, in a way that we can, you know, actually do the studies, get the data, and then make more informed decisions, right? I think that's really, like, that's got to be the crux of my argument. I mean, regardless of whether or not you think it's right or wrong, people are going to choose to do this anyway, and they're just going to get it by another means. So why not make it available and let the studies be done?
The difference between them and flat earthers is that they can actually have an impact on public policy. Don't be a flat earther. Between you and me, thank you for watching.
All right. So yeah, I thought that was a very thoughtful, informative video. As always, from Planner Walk. And I think, you know, my connection just keeps going in and out in spite of whatever I do here. Just a tech issue. Amy Newman's live. P-Town, since you're still live, I'll go see what's going on your panel real quick. I only got a few minutes here, but I was having a chat with P-Town. and I'm going to try through I think P-Town clarified in comments, believing and believing in Jesus and praying with faith that Jesus will hear my prayer.
What would be basically a tiny iota of that, a tiny little sliver of something that, as you just yourself said, would be something that would be personal for me and would be something that I could not. Or if it's something that I could not, if I was encountered with it, say in any sort of honesty, oh, that was just a fluke, or oh, that was just a
And spiraling death. Togs live to step on toes.
It would have to be a confrontation.
Good job.
Of a very magnificent proportion, and I'd say magnificent. It would have to.
Yeah, and I'm probably getting just about as frustrated with this as y'all are. See, I think, and I don't know, it's just a theory, but I think the universe is, really, really content to just test my patience on a constant basis these days. Like tonight, tonight's a perfect example. I do everything according to, thing that seems to work. Oh, thanks for coming by, Nanya Biz. Yeah, I don't want to, I really want to attack arguments and not people. So, I definitely appreciate taking that tactic. So, but again, my idea is that people should have the maximal, most possible freedom, within whatever constraints that we need to ensure that they're not harming others, they're not harming themselves. I even think that self-harm, to some extent, it probably falls under that maximal freedom. And if people, get off on certain forms of self-harm, then hey, maybe we should, be okay with that. And we are, I think as a society to some extent, we just have to decide where we're drawing our boundaries, right? But if this is something, and again, this is for the well-being of people, as far as trans rights are concerned, it is something they believe will maximize their well-being, and it's not harming others, then we should allow them to do it. We should allow them to do it in a transparent way, where objective data can be collected, and draw from their experiences. What can we learn from their experiences, even if it ends up being a negative? But as Plainer Walk pointed out, and many others have, those people who actually get full gender affirming surgeries and things like that, who end up regretting it, such a small number of people. It's a tiny fraction of the already very small minority of trans people that actually regret becoming or receiving those gender affirming cares, right? Gender affirming, is that? I don't know. Anyway, that gender affirming care. And I think HRT is something that's probably more reversible than a vasectomy. It doesn't require any surgical intervention. It doesn't require, it's merely delaying a process that will happen anyway. Once you remove the HRT, hormones kick back in, boom, boom, boom. Mikey, good to see you. Thanks for coming by, my friend. I'm probably going to wrap this up. Yeah, the streaming quality has been less than optimal, so I appreciate anyone who stuck with me for this. Hopefully the microphone sounds better. It looks like it's registering well. I can only know when I go back and check later. No, yeah, oh yeah, I would, but unfortunately my schedule is reversed tonight, so I'm just finishing up my laundry. I have to work early in the morning, so that's why I decided to just hop on, do these couple of videos. Earlier we saw an ape learn to play Minecraft recently, and so that was very enthralling, I think. Something to check out. If you want to check it out, just look up ape playing Minecraft on YouTube. Yeah, you'll find that pretty quickly. So yeah, I'll probably do another one tomorrow, figuring out what works over here right now. I've got this hotspot for a couple more weeks, and so I want to try to make the most of it. But if anything, I may do another Prism Live review. Again, I'll have another little spot of time here before bed, but I may jump into someone else's live. We'll see. I know P-Town wants to chat, and we've been had a pretty vigorous conversation, so may go do that. I don't know. I haven't made my mind up yet, but all I know is taking care of certain responsibilities first, and then all of this is something to occupy me, which is good. It's what I need. So, all right. With that, I'll play us out with a little song and maybe a little shitposting video. I do these shitposting videos, and it's all in good fun. So when you see me doing these, I'm a fan of I listen to Sam Harris, but I also listen to Ham Saris. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So I want to contribute, more to the effery of the internet as much as possible for lols, sincerely, I find it fascinating and hilarious. And so that's why I create things like Manji Plus and Lapogia, things like that. Just these weird videos you might see. It's all in good fun and in jest. So I hope you take it that way. It's important not to take ourselves too seriously, because at the end of the day, we're all just a bunch of monkeys in a concrete jungle. Trying to do the best we can and learn as we go. At least that's what I'm doing. So, all right. I'll play us out with this song.
To know about God and about giants and dragons, all that, they refuse to discuss it too. I've been blocked everywhere there. I've been blocked on virtually every channel there is, and it's just, and I can't understand it. I cannot understand the human mind anymore. It's just totally lost. And then, of course, there's the giant hair follicle. There's the word erector pili.